Mr. Speaker, in the committee report that accompanies these bills on page 13 and 14, there are 3 items that the majority says that the President can't do. One is to defer action for the Dreamers, young people who are brought here innocently in violation of immigration laws. 3, to allow the wives of American soldiers who are undocumented to stay and not be deported. And finally, to allow parents who've been arrested for immigration to try and preserve their parental rights. Is it legal for the President to take these actions? Certainly it is. In Heckler v. Cheney, as well as in the Arizona versus the United States court decision, the Supreme Court makes clear that in immigration, the ability to enforce or decide not to enforce is part of the broad executive authority. And further, the United States Congress has actually delegated to the executive branch at 6 U.S. Code 202 the national immigration enforcement priorities and policies to the President. Now, is this anything new? No. We have paroled in place Cubans since John F. Kennedy was president. In 2010, a bipartisan group of members, including Congressman Michael Turner and Mac Thornberry from the Armed Services Committee, and myself wrote and said, please, Mr. President, don't deport the wives of American soldiers. And the President used his authority to do that as prior presidents had done. The use of parole in place is delegated to the President and nothing new. Now, why is this important? These bills are drafted to keep the President from doing the things that he did to allow the children to stay and to allow the wives of American soldiers not to be deported. I think that what the majority wants to do is to not only have a do-nothing Congress, but to have a do-nothing President. And when it comes to immigration, this is very serious. We have had 1 vote on immigration here in the Congress. It was on Congressman King's bill to deport the DREAM Act kids. We've heard a lot of discussion about a bill supposedly that's going to be brought forward by the majority about the innocent children who've been brought here, but we haven't seen a bill. Instead, we see these bills, which would allow the Congress to overrule the President's action so that the DREAM Act kids will be deported, so that the wives of soldiers who were in battle in Afghanistan would be deported, so that individuals who are caught up in an immigration problem would lose their children to social services, would lose their parental rights.